I will start with a confession today. One of my most revealing questions so far was, am I a runner? You see, I discovered running as a cure for my headaches about 10 years ago. One morning my head was exploding, and as I was desperate, I went for a really desperate measure. I started to run on the treadmill. Now, 20 minutes later, I noticed that my pain had gone. Those of you who ever suffered from migraines can understand why it was easy for me to get addicted to the exercise. It made the pain go away. And so I started to run more often and for longer, and now my record was 30 minutes, 5 kilometers, twice a week. And then change happened. I started to get haunted by the idea of running a half marathon, which was a very scary thought to me because I hadn't prepared myself for that. I mean, think about it. 30 minutes, 5 kilometers, twice a week is barely preparation for 21 kilometers in under 3 hours, which was the time limit for half marathons, as I was going to find out, so no way I could do it. What I did do was, I enrolled myself to it. Yeah, in spite of, or maybe due to, my fear, and there I was one morning, having to run it. I finished the race 2 hours and 15 minutes later with a feeling of accomplishment I can remember to this day, mainly because of this photo. You can see it on my face. And so the result of that was I enrolled to other half marathons, and I also started to take photos along the way with the phone that I was running with. And so I was photographing buildings. Well, this one was really hard to miss because it's really, really big, as you can see. And I also was photographing people who were supporting us and who really made my day. And I was also taking photographs by mistake. But you see, by now, I realized I was only running half marathons twice a year. Okay, with some 30 minutes, 5 kilometers, twice a week in the rest of the time. But was I really a runner? I mean, I never ran a marathon. I never even considered the mere possibility. I wasn't training for long runs or triathlons or anything like that, and I was taking photos along the way. So was I really a runner? I bumped into this question in a running magazine, and their answer was really very simple. It said, it was a question, do you run? If your answer is yes, then you're a runner. And you know, that made me think, okay, yeah, I do run. You know, not for long, not training like crazy, but I do run my 5 to now 7 kilometers twice a week, which is the exact kind of exercise that made me capable of running my own 21 kilometers twice a year when I needed to. Okay, and have a weird walk right after, but that's a different discussion. And so, you know, I was wondering, what if the same happened to the rest of our skills? What if they were just like muscles, and all we needed to do was train them regularly on our own treadmills so that they help us in our half marathon situations when they show up? So, I will call change a half marathon. I think it's a scary and challenging enough name with a more specific shape. Now, you see, when these kind of questions show up in your head, you're clearly a nerd, which is another skill, by the way. And even worse, when you're a learning professional, as I am, you even start to group the skills muscles. And so I found 3 groups, and I can only promise that the names get better by the third and last one. Because the first group is skills muscles that we were exercising all along and never realized this was what we were doing. Okay, I know it sounds complicated, but I will explain with the help of our hero for today, runner. Now, runner was born in a communist Eastern European country. Happy childhood, nice memories, all good as far as she could tell. Now, the thing about communism is it's supposed to make everyone equal, which in free translation really meant uniform. Because yes, we were wearing uniforms in school, and that's me in the middle not looking at the camera. So yeah, we did look uniformly. We were also expected to speak and think uniformly. Now, from an individual development perspective, this wasn't doing any much good. But from a networking perspective, that was brilliant. Why? Because with all of those people having to be so very much alike, it was really easy to focus on the common grounds and interests. Now, Runner, with nothing much to do apart from school and homework, would find herself spending her other time playing outside with other kids her age. Now, being a child, she didn't think about networking skills or, any other social skills for that matter. But for somebody watching them play from outside of their group, it was clear that the amount of social skills that they were practicing on the playground every day was tremendous. Networking, feedback, conflict resolution. Well, conflict resolution was really crucial, because if Runner found herself in a fight with another kid her age, she really had to find the solution herself. Because, asking mom or dad for help would only be possible if she wanted to be laughed at forever after that. So, she had to keep her cool and find a solution, also bearing in mind that it was highly probable she would be playing with the same kid the next day too. Now, as a grown-up who had exercised these skills on the playground, Runner could now solve conflicts at work as well, also bearing in mind that it was highly probable she would be working with the same colleague the next day too. Well, that unless she decided to quit. But the beauty of it was that due to her abilities to solve conflicts, Runner wouldn't quit that easily. This is what we call resilience. Because you see, we do train a bunch of skills every day, whether we think about them or not, whether we like them or not. I mean, even if you were a kid or a parent, think about the negotiation skills that you're practicing whenever you're discussing buying a new toy, a new phone, a new tablet, or even ice cream. For those of you who have or had a partner, think about the decision-making skills that you're practicing when you are talking about buying a house or a car, and the amount of compromise that you apply during that process. Well, that is if you want to keep the relationship going further, I mean. Now, for our second group, it starts getting better. It's the skills that we have and that we like to show off. And so we'll talk about our hero, Runner, again. So now Runner finds herself in a communism-free country where people are free to express their thoughts and feelings and ideas, and she has access to MTV, music television, yeah. And she watches those people present and speak and introduce their interviews and shows and music charts. And she starts to dream of a day when she would be a singer herself and have her own concerts organized. And, she organizes her own concerts and interviews in the living room. And they're great. I mean, the invisible audience is ecstatic. What she also does is she pretends she's a teacher, and she explains new concepts to her invisible classroom in her room. And she moves, she speaks, she writes on the wardrobe door with chalk, so that things are very clear for everybody, even for her mom, who can see the door is falling apart from the chalk dust. But what she does realize is that she feels good doing that. What she doesn't realize is that she's practicing good presentation skills. Now, change of scenery, when as a grown-up she has to deliver a 5-minute Excel training in the boardroom for all of her colleagues, Runner uses the same presenting and teaching skills that she had been practicing as a teen. She hadn't realized she had this in her, that she liked doing presentations and training sessions, but she realizes it made her feel good, and so she wants to do it more often. And by now she starts to also focus on the things that she does best, and also on the things that she can still improve. She reads more on the topic, and she takes every opportunity to use this skill. It was, as we call it, one of her strengths. Now, the trick about the strong skill muscles that we have is that once they are there, we don't stop training them, because they may be good and strong, but they still need training and maintaining. I mean, they will never really disappear, but it would be a shame to keep them dormant. Which brings us to the last group. I told you it was going to get better. Dormant skill muscles. Now, the reason why they sleep is because we let them. Because these are the muscles that we train the least, or maybe not at all, because we hate them. Because it's painful to train them. Because maybe we have bad memories about using them sometime a long time ago. Because they are called our weaknesses. And so, we'll take Runner again. Now, when she was a kid, she really liked to draw on the walls in her room. Now, it was more of like cave people signs, but to her, she liked it. Of course, the other members of the household didn't appreciate this form of art. So, Runner stopped drawing on the walls. She actually stopped drawing altogether up until she was in school, and then she only drew because she had to. But she hated it because she thought she was such a bad drawer and nothing was coming up right, and all of the other kids were drawing so much better than her. And so what she didn't realize then is she was sabotaging herself, of course, by comparing her drawings to other kids' drawings. And what she also didn't realize is that it was going to be this exact skill set that she was going to need later on, when as a grown-up, she needed to come up with some lesson plans and graphs and charts for people to understand complex information, because by now she was a trainer. Now, this wasn't something that Runner particularly liked doing, but it was something that she needed to do as part of her job. And so technology helped, of course, and sometimes where her hand was incapable of drawing a good chart to make it clear for everybody, Excel would come in and help. But much to her surprise, there were times when she realized that it was almost impossible to put in a chart what she could draw by hand. In any case, by taking this long-forgotten skill and using it again, meant that she took these dormant skill muscles and she trained it so she could use it because she needed it. Now, we'll say goodbye to Runner here, and we'll get back to our initial revealing question. Am I a runner? Which can easily become, am I a speaker? Am I a networker? Am I a decision maker? Am I a negotiator? Am I a, you name it. And then you get to have your answer really simply. You get to ask yourself, do you run? Do you speak? Do you network? Do you make decisions? Do you negotiate? Do you name it? And yes, you guessed. If your answer is yes, then you are a runner, a speaker, a networker, a decision maker, a negotiator, you name it. Because if you can run your 5 kilometers on your own treadmill regularly, your muscles will be prepared to take you through that half marathon when it shows up in your life. And who knows, you might even get to like it and want to run some more. And even take your own photos along the way. Thank you.